Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Boisterous and Kadoink coming to you with some non-league nonsense out of the map, the Shattered Temple. Spawning over here in the right-hand corner, we have ekiMera as the yellow Zerg, and up here in the northern position, we have his opponent kittycrusher, the orange Protoss. So I think this was actually one of the map. This is the map that's going out, right, Kadoink?
Yeah, this is the one that people on the BattleNet voted for. At least on the North American server. I don't know how it's working for the Europe and Korean servers. I haven't been paying attention to that. Maybe the votes were cumulative, but yeah, this is the map that's going out. It's sad to see it go, but it's good to see new ones come in.
That's actually, I never thought of it like that. I wonder if, that would be weird if the map pools ended up being different in each of the different regions, because people were voting out different maps. I think they're all going to be the same, because I'm pretty sure that all the BattleNets are essentially the same. However, that'd be kind of odd.
Yeah, it would also be kind of cool though, because different servers have different kind of play styles, and so they kind of have different builds they do and different moods they do, and so the maps kind of reflect that, because the map plays a huge role in what kind of things you do. So it would make sense that a different server might be more inclined to lean towards different maps due to the fact that people in Korea just play differently than people in America do. Not on a huge scale, but, you know, little minor things here and there.
Yeah, no. That would actually be kind of cool also for people that are, like, streaming their games. You know, to watch somebody from Korea play on the Korean servers. And we do have ekiMera going for a 14 hatch? That's actually
yeah.
a bit of an early hatch timing. Usually people go for a 15 hatch. So definitely a little bit out of the normal there. We have a Forge Fast Expand coming out from kittycrusher. And this is one of those maps where the Forge Fast Expand seems like a good idea on paper, but I never see anybody pull it off.
Right. You do have quite a wide choke on Shattered Temple, more so than like your Shakuris Plateau or even your Entombed Valley. I think it is possible. We'll have to see how the game goes on. Yeah. But it is a little difficult because Zerglings can kind of swing around to this left side, and you have a large amount of ground to cover. It's kind of like Forge Fast expanding on Metalopolis. You kind of have a big area there to defend as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see him even plant his Forge so far back. It seems like it would make a lot more sense for it to be further up in the choke because it actually gets narrower as you get closer to the front. And he's like at the spot where it's the widest.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what his reasoning for that is. Maybe that's something he's been experimenting with. He looks like he's about to throw down a photon cannon at this time, and a gateway. So he does have, you know, his choke pretty well walled off, but as far as his natural's concerned, it's not that well defended.
Yeah, it could definitely get crushed fairly fast. And he put a proxy pylon in kind of an interesting position, especially for this early in the game, because I'm guessing that's just going to get sniped at some point. Because he's not going for any sort of super aggressive play where that would come into huge amounts of handy early on. He's going for something that's kind of passive, really, and I don't know why he dropped it there, because that just seems like a free 100 minerals for the Zerg player to eliminate and pick up. And the Zerg player is now going for metabolic boost, and he pulled his guys off of gas, so he's not going to be going for any sort of fast layer play. He just went for the metabolic boost, and he's done there.
Yeah, and that could be a huge advantage because there's only one pylon controlling this, so if he can get his Zerglings there quickly, well, now he's putting down a second. Well, forget that statement, but yeah, I agree. kittycrusher's playing very passively, which I think is good. I think it's good to experiment with being an aggressive player and then being with a passive player, and so I don't see anything wrong with being passive. You just got to make sure you're experimenting with it and you're trying to figure out, like, what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are, and how to account for those things.
Yeah, definitely. And we have the Overlord kind of scouting around the back of kittycrusher's base. His cybernetics core is about halfway done, and this cybernetics core is definitely not on time. This is late, right? Because he got his gateway down like a minute ago.
Yeah, this is a very late cybernetics core. I think it's because he put down 2 cannons, maybe, because the cannon seemed kind of at an odd time as well. However, he's also been placing pylons around the map, or at least he has one over kind of in this hidden area between the 2 bases, which I think is an interesting spot to put a pylon when you're in close air. I feel like Zerglings might run by that very easily, and Overlords might fly over that very easily, so I don't quite like that pylon placement. But yeah, the cybernetics core definitely seems very late.
Yeah, we have ekiMera looking like he's going to try to set up a fast third here. He has the Zerglings heading over and hitting those destructible rocks. So he might be going for a fast gold base, which is nice for Zerg to pick up, especially against Protoss, because then you can just flood Zerglings out when the Protoss is least expecting it, and go for the kind of like backstab attacks that are just so powerful against Protoss because of how slow moving their army really is.
Yeah, absolutely, and in this case it's very defendable, seeing as he's very active at keeping his overlords around the map. He's currently taking the watchtower with his Zerglings. He basically has a line straight down the diagonal with overlords and Zerglings, so he'll be able to see anything coming. So I think it's a good decision taking this gold base rather than going for the blue base, because I think he can defend it, especially because he knows his opponent is doing a Forge Fast Expand build and won't have any kind of big timing attacks early on.
Yeah, of course, that first big timing attack is going to be coming up fairly soon. He only has about 100 more seconds left on his +1 ground attack upgrade, which is of course one of the timings for Protoss, is just going for a giant ball of zealots with a couple stalkers as auxiliary units, and then just swinging all of that at your opponent's front, because +1 attack zealots tear the crap out of Zerglings. They absolutely destroy them. It's pretty insane. Because
yeah, it's actually one of those critical upgrades where if you have +1, you can kill one Zergling in 2 shots rather than just 1. So that's why it goes through a lot quicker, because Zealots are saving an attack per Zergling.
Yeah, however, we have the +1 of armor coming out from the Zerg, and that does counteract that upgrade. So this is going to be a very thin timing, where if he swings out as soon as this starts, he'll be able to get some damage done, but if he waits too long, it's just the time's going to pass really fast, because he's going to have about 80 seconds of time, and there that pylon does get sniped by some Zerglings. So just as we both predicted, essentially, that pylon was not in the greatest position. We have, wow, 5 spine crawlers going down for ekiMera, so he saw the danger from this attack. I think he might have gotten a scout out on the +1 upgrade, and now he's just going for an all-out defense, which is definitely what you want to do in this position.
Yeah, he flew his Overlord in the base earlier, and kittycrusher was able to pick it off, but he did see the large number of gates, and I think that's why he started moving around with his Zerglings to make sure there weren't any pylons, which there was, so he was able to pick that off. And so I think this is great that he's putting down these spine crawlers. However, his third is really vulnerable right now, so we'll see how he defends that.
Yeah, those spine crawlers are being kind of ballsy and like burrowing within full vision of the Protoss army. And the Protoss army is moving in, however the Zealots did not protect the Stalkers at all. They kind of just let them fend for themselves. And it looks like that attack was deflected quite successfully. The 5 spine crawlers were definitely a huge help there. And none of them died yet. One of them's kind of just chilling above ground though, so he's not all that useful.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting position he had him in. They were kind of clumped together rather than in a line, which I think is very interesting. But it ended up working in his favor.
Yeah.
So that's
I
good.
think if you're facing a lot of melee units like Zealots or Zerglings, you want them more clumped together because it kind of provides less surface area for those units to wrap around them. But then again, if you're fighting kind of a large ranged foe, you definitely want them, spread out in a line, so that wherever the ranged units are attacking, they can hit back. And since he's going up against so many Zealots, that was definitely the right decision. And we have kittycrusher trying to eliminate the rocks to the third, without actually knowing that the third is at the gold base. And we have some Zerglings maybe swinging into the third, maybe. So both players think their opponent's third is in the wrong position at this point.
Yeah, I did see those Zealots go down there. I thought he was checking for a third as well. And also we saw from kittycrusher he put down a Dark Shrine, so we should see some Dark Templar here pretty soon.
Yeah, he's also putting down a Templar Archives too, so we might see some Storm play, which is of course a very nice decision against Zerg, especially if you're against the Zerg that's going for such heavy Zergling numbers, and Psystorm kind of just wrecks Zergling numbers if you can catch them unawares. We do have a run by from the Zerg player going up the ramp from the Protoss. A lot of Zerglings going down, but still enough to do quite a bit of damage to not the mineral line. No probes went down. Yeah,
Where are you in the time
Well, I just
time
hit
right
14
now?
minutes.
Alright, great. Tell me when you hit 14 and 15
All
seconds.
right. That's in 5 seconds, so. The Nexus is still alive, and yeah, I just hit it. So we have the
Okay.
Zealots moving back down the ramp with like one stalker in the army composition, so he's kind of abandoned going with any amount of stalkers ever. And that might hurt him because there's some mutalisks coming out. However, the observer's there and it's going to spot the mutalisks, so he's going to be fine. There's quite a few mutalisks already out on the field. There's 16, and that number's going to get boosted to 18 once these last two pop out. However, this has already been scouted by ekiMera, and these mutalisks are going to swing in and destroy the main's nexus. That is extremely annoying for kittycrusher, especially because he wasn't mined out yet.
Yeah, that was very good by ekiMera. Good timing on the mutas, I think. Even though they are a little bit late, you can get them out at about 10 minutes if you rush for them. But because his opponent's going so zealot heavy, this is just doing huge amounts of damage. However, he is leaving because a huge zealot attack is going into ekiMera's base right now. A lot of zealots trying to pick off these spine crawlers, and the mutalisks have come in, and they should be able to clean this up.
I'm not sure if they'll be able to clean this up in time, though. I mean, these zealots have already done well worth their weight in damage. They're cleaning up the natural hatchery, and there's no way that's surviving. They just distracted so that the Dark Templar could get the 4th. So the only real mining base for ekiMera is his main and his gold 3rd now. And these zealots are going for the lair, and these zealots might manage to kill the lair. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Maybe the counter to mutas is just tons and tons and tons of zealots. Man, they might just be able to pick this off. No, ekiMera saves the day.
Yeah, he did manage to get a transfuse off there, but even if he hadn't, I think the lair still would have been up and fine. And I mean, now kittycrusher understands that there's a lot of mutalisks out, so he's probably going to be switching into much heavier stalker numbers as soon as he can, start warping those in. He also has a couple of High Templar, and those High Templar do have Storm researched, so they will be going for some storms pretty soon. I feel like as soon as they can manage to find the mutalisks and really hit them. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten the Archons out, because Archons kind of eliminate the ability for mutas to come in and attack your army, because Archons do a lot of splash damage, so unless you magic box with your mutas, which you don't really want to do over stalkers, you can't do a whole lot. The DTs are just running around and being extremely annoying. They've canceled the 5th once, they just ran past the 4th, but they already killed it once, so they're all good. However...
Yeah, they actually killed the 3rd, too.
Oh my god, I missed it.
Oh, it's fine.
Freaking DT's killing so many bases. So many bases.
I know, just 2 of them targeted it down. And ekiMera looks like he doesn't really have an up-and-running base other than his main, and that's mined out, basically.
Yeah, however, he has 34 mutalisks, and 34 mutalisks are quite a few mutalisks to be swinging into your base. And there are some stalkers, but it's not any impressive number, I would say. However, it's still enough to provide a distraction while he warps in enough to deal with it. And he is blinking his stalkers up here. I'm not sure if ekiMera should engage. He should be pulling back. These stalkers are 3-1.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a lot of stalkers, and at 3-1 against 0-0, they're just all going to go away like they are.
I mean, even if you obliterate a stalker army with mutalisks, usually the stalkers win. It doesn't matter. I mean, the stalkers only need to deal so much damage before all of their lives were worth it. Because it's extremely hard to repopulate a mutaball, and he just lost 29 mutas there. That's going to take him probably 5 minutes to get all those mutas back, especially with his economy so wounded as it was.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't have any queens at any of his bases other than his, no, he doesn't even have one at his main. He does have 2 actually on his 4th.
Actually.
So, oh wow, yeah, now he has 3. So he's not been spawning larvae, so it's going to take him a huge amount of time to get those mutas back up. And with a Protoss on 3 base, well, technically 2 base right now, he's going to have a lot of trouble. coming back
there are
from this.
4 DTs doing their sneaky moving on down to the 4th, and they're really upgraded DTs. I think that's all I need to say there. And wow, they are just cleaving their way through that hatchery. This thing went down in like 10 seconds. That is ridiculous. Yeah, so there goes the 4th for a Zerg player again. I'm not sure how he plans on coming back from this. Is there an overseer anywhere?
He's trying to put down a spore crawler at this time, and he did have one, but it looks like he's lost it, so he's building 2 more at his 3rd. But I think the DTs have already done the damage they needed to do.
Definitely. At this point, the only thing the Protoss player actually needs to do is just keep slowing down the Zerg's economy while he builds up a bigger Stalker army. Because after shredding all those Mutalisks through and through, all he needed to do was stop the Zerg from replenishing, and that's essentially what he's done right now.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job of doing it.
The Mutaball is, kind of bad. It has 15 Mutalisks right now, and there's 10-ish Zerglings on the ground, and yeah, this isn't a good situation for Zerg to be in. He's gonna try to swing over here to the 4th. However, there's High Templars and Stalkers here, so actually none of these High Templars have the energy for storms, so all the High Templars go down without doing anything. However, the Stalker army is gonna swing up here and deal with the rest of these mutas.
Yeah, and if you look, he's also kittycrusher is building a fleet beacon at this time, so we'll see if he managed to get out some carriers, which will be interesting since we never see them.
Carriers are those units that, they're going away at Heart of the Swarm, and that should just be an indication of how much they're used, which is not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to see them do something about the carrier or the battle cruiser for that matter. We don't see too many battle cruisers as well, but we see them a lot more than we see carriers. And so I think that these super units are very hard to balance, and that's why they're kind of straying away from them. But I would still like to see them manage to fix that.
The really odd thing that I feel they're doing in Heart of the Swarm is they're kind of giving the Protoss 2 really good anti-air units and 1 anti-ground unit that's kind of meh. It's countered by so much stuff, and that's the Void Ray, of course. Where the Void Ray is really good at the end game of 4v4s, where you just have 50 of them and you win the game instantaneously. However, in any other situation, it's not that great. So without the carrier, Protoss doesn't really have a strong air unit. I mean, it's easy to argue that the carrier isn't a strong air unit, but we have ekiMera getting cleaned up, which I bet everybody saw coming. So ekiMera does go down to kittycrusher. I wonder if ekiMera was a kitten. That's the big question in my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be very interesting because kittycrusher certainly crushed him. So yeah, good game to you, kittycrusher.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, if you want any more Boisterous action, you can head on over to Boisterous SC2. YouTube.com/user/Boisterous SC2. And if you want your games commentated, send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. Kadoink, do you have information you want to pimp out real fast?
Yes, I definitely do. Check out my YouTube channel as well. It is youtube.com/user/Kadoink Studios, or just type Kadoink Studios into the search bar, and I've got some really cool things coming up in the future, so you should definitely be checking that out, subscribing, or just watching the videos, keeping track of it, and cool things to come.
If anybody out there is in the bronze to gold leagues, or not really leagued at all, and you have 4 friends, you should go make a team and sign up over at sc2clans.org in the Cup League, as that is the league that me and Kadoink are currently planned on commentating. And yeah, it needs more teams, so go sign up. And go register at sc2clans.org if you don't have a clan, because you should. It's a website that I think fills a niche that's kind of needed in the current SC2 layout. And so, this is Boisterous and Kadoink, and we are signing out.